There's something unusual about waking up when the world is still wrapped in silence. Between 3 and 5 in the morning, the atmosphere feels thinner, quieter, not just in sound, but in vibration. Time slows. Reality softens. And if you find yourself awake during these hours without reason, you may not be waking randomly. You may be called. Across ancient traditions, this window has long been known as sacred. In Chinese medicine, it's when the lungs, the organs tied to grief and release, are most active. In spiritual texts, it's when divine communication is said to be clearest. Monks rise to meditate during this time. Mystics listen. And in modern energetic understanding, this is when the veil between dimensions is thinnest. The law of vibration teaches that everything moves, that frequencies are always in motion. And in these hours, your frequency may be shifting just enough to hear something you normally ignore. Your mind is quieter at this time. Distractions are low. And because the collective field of thought is mostly asleep, your energy stands alone, raw, open, and sensitive. It's why so many report moments of clarity or downloads of insight when waking in the pre-dawn dark. It's not that something outside is waking you. It's that something within is responding to a different rhythm, one that doesn't follow clocks or alarms, but alignment. When the universe speaks, it doesn't always use words. Sometimes it uses timing, a nudge at the same hour each night, a discomfort you can't explain, a sudden alertness in your chest, your breath, your thoughts. These are not interruptions. They're invitations to listen, to feel, to connect with something subtle yet deeply intelligent. Waking between 3 and 5 isn't just a moment. It's a message wrapped in stillness. And when you begin to see it not as a sleep problem, but as a signal, the entire experience begins to shift from frustration to fascination. It's easy to think you woke up because of stress, a bad dream, or maybe a full bladder. But there's a different kind of awakening that doesn't come from discomfort. It comes from energy. There are moments, especially between 3 and 5 a.m., when your vibration shifts before your mind catches up. You open your eyes, not because something is wrong, but because something is moving. Energy has intelligence. It rises when it needs space. When the body sleeps but the soul is stirring, there's often a gap, a vibrational dissonance, that pulls your consciousness upward, not in panic, but in presence. You may not understand it at first, but something subtle inside you is aligning, unlocking, or searching. And often, that happens in silence, in darkness, when the rest of the world is still. These moments are more common in times of transition, when your identity is shifting, when grief is settling, when a deep question is being formed that you haven't yet asked. Your body may still be resting, but your field, your vibration, is reaching for something. And in that reach, sleep becomes secondary. Awakening, in the truest sense, takes over. This is also when you are most receptive. Your mind isn't yet cluttered by plans or notifications. You're in between realms, not fully in the dream, not fully in the day. It's a space that carries its own frequency. And when your personal energy is shifting, this space becomes a meeting point between who you were and who you're becoming. Sometimes what wakes you isn't a problem to be solved. It's a presence to be acknowledged, a frequency rising, a part of your being asking to be felt, not ignored. And if you sit with it, even for a few breaths, you may find that the stillness speaks louder than anything you hear during daylight. Not every awakening has a reason your mind can grasp right away, but energy doesn't move without intention. When you begin waking during the same window of time, especially between 3 and 5 a.m., something in your energetic field is trying to surface. This isn't random. It's rhythmic. And rhythm is one of the primary ways vibration expresses intelligence. Sometimes it's emotional. These hours, long linked to the lungs and breath in Eastern energy systems, often relate to unresolved grief or emotions that have gone unspoken during the day. You may not feel sad when you wake, but there's a heaviness, a tightness in the chest, or a strange stillness in your thoughts. It's the kind of weight that doesn't speak in full sentences. It just rises. Other times, what's waking you is intuitive, not emotional, but expansive. You might be receiving something, a feeling, a word, an idea. Downloads don't always arrive with clarity, but they often come with urgency. You may feel compelled to write, to sit up, to stare into the dark, and simply listen. This isn't imagination. It's resonance. Your vibration is tuning into something that exists beyond logic, and in that tuning, the body responds. Waking during these hours can also signal that you're in a period of realignment. Maybe your outer life looks the same, but something inside you is shifting, and the old frequencies of routine, of thought patterns, of relationships or identities are starting to dissolve. That dissolution doesn't happen quietly. The field stirs. You stir, and you wake. The key is not to rush back to sleep too quickly. Not every awakening is a disruption. Some are invitations to be present, to breathe into your being, to acknowledge the quiet whisper that only speaks when everything else goes still. These messages don't always arrive with answers. Sometimes they come as permission to feel what you've buried or to become what you've been resisting. Every cell in your body, every thought you carry, every emotion you suppress, all of it vibrates. The law of vibration isn't abstract mysticism. It's the subtle architecture of reality. You are not a fixed being. You are in constant motion, even at rest. And when the vibration of your life begins to shift, whether through awakening, healing, or quiet inner unrest, it often begins to express itself at night. Sleep is not silence. On an energetic level, it's often the moment your true vibration comes to the surface. During the day, you're distracted, responding, reacting, moving. But while you sleep, your consciousness softens, your ego relaxes, and your energy begins to recalibrate. That's why many spiritual or energetic shifts don't show up as big events. They show up as subtle changes in sleep patterns, emotional dreams, or recurring wake-ups when the world is most still. Between 3 and 5 a.m., the frequency of the external world is quieter. There's less interference, less mental noise, less human motion, less emotional projection. And in that vacuum, your own energy becomes more audible. So if your vibration is rising, even slightly, it begins to stretch against your current state. That tension can feel like restlessness, a jolt, a sudden awareness. And so you wake. These awakenings are not disturbances. They are moments of vibrational mismatch, your current state adjusting to a new level of awareness or alignment. This is especially common if you're moving through a spiritual threshold, leaving behind outdated beliefs, entering a new purpose, or silently outgrowing a version of yourself you haven't yet spoken about. It's not always comfortable. Frequency upgrades rarely are. But waking up at these hours isn't a failure of your sleep. It's a sign that your vibration is becoming incompatible with your former rhythm, and that shift is being felt, even in the deepest parts of you. When the universe calls, it rarely shouts. It stirs, and often, that stirring comes when the world is asleep, when the silence is thick enough for your own frequency to be heard. Waking between 3 and 5 a.m. is not a problem to fix. It's a moment to feel, to meet yourself in stillness, to listen in ways you don't during the day. You don't need to force meaning. Sometimes, the message is simply presence. Sit up slowly. Breathe. Feel the temperature of the air, the weight of your body, the rhythm of your breath. Let your awareness expand beyond thought. This is not about decoding a spiritual riddle. It's about being available to the energy that's already moving through you. If words come, write them. If emotions rise, allow them. If nothing happens at all but a sense of peace, that too is a message that your system is aligning with a rhythm deeper than logic. You're being tuned to something new. And even if you don't yet know what that is, the tuning is real. Over time, the wake-ups may stop, or they may continue, but with less confusion. That's not a failure, it's a response. The universe calls until you answer. And once you begin listening, the communication becomes easier, lighter, more refined. You start living in resonance, not reaction. And your external life begins to echo that internal clarity. There's no perfect way to respond to a sacred hour. What matters is attention. When you treat these early awakenings not as interruptions, but as invitations, you realign with the frequency of your deeper self. That self is not broken. It's not lost. It's evolving. And sometimes, evolution arrives in the dark, asking for nothing more than your presence.